What's up, everybody? It's your boy Season. So today we've got another Metal Build Gundam review. We're going to be taking a look at the Strike Gundam. So this is actually the one that just comes with the Strike Gundam by itself. This was for the 10th anniversary back in, I think it's 2021, I think. So we're going to be taking a look at that today. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go. So with this version of the Strike, it pretty much just comes with the beam rifle, the beam shield here, and then you actually have his set of hands. Now, since this is actually my third Strike, I actually have never taken all of his accessories out of this container because I already have it for other ones. And then they actually give us an extra V-fin. And I wish that Bandai would actually make that normalized with all of their mobile suits. That comes in handy just in case you break it or something like that. And then of course you have your armor Schneiders there as well. So you've got those, and then you've got the base for the stand. And I think that this is pretty much the same as the original, the L Strike version. That was the first one they came out. I think this looks almost exactly the same. I may be mistaken about that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And then of course that's your stand there, so you've got that. And then of course you've got the container that holds the Strike. Mine has actually been on display for the last couple of years, so of course he's not in here. So, but that's what he would come in, and then you actually have the manual. So a pretty bare bones figure, but I think this wasn't bad. I think I paid $180 for this one, so that's not too bad. So that's all we've got for the box content. So we'll actually take a look at the manual. So let's take a look at this manual here. So I expect this to be pretty bare bones. So yeah, there's your parts count as normal in the typical accordion style. And it just gives you some of the articulation and things that it can do there. So, you know, the interesting thing about the Strike, of course, because this is my #2 all-time favorite mobile suit. And, you know, the thing about it is we've gotten so many different releases in the Metal Build line. It's crazy. I mean, not as much as maybe like the Unicorn and say like the model kit world, but we've gotten quite a bit because we got the original, which was the L Strike. Then we got the Infinity version, which I own. I own both of those. Then the 10th anniversary version, which is this one. And then they actually had the Heliopolis version. And then that's not including the Strike Rouge and the Ortori and all that stuff. I got all that stuff too. But the thing was with this one, I think after this one, I was like, okay, you've got 3 Strikes. Because really I wanted them for all of the different striker packs that they have, especially since they've come out with a ton. You know, instead of having to just keep swapping them out with one, I wanted to actually have multiple. So that's what I did. So, okay, so that's what we've got for the manual. Now let's actually take a look at the accessories. Next, so let's take a look at his accessories. So first we have his beam shield. So, you know, it's got GAT X105, which is the model number there. And so this is your typical Gundam Seed shield. So especially with the original GAT suits, most of their shields looked all the same. So except for the inside part there. So, but you got some nice detail work in there. So you've got that. So that's what you got for the shield. And then we actually have his beam rifle. So, you know, this actually has some really good detail work in here. Looks like you've got some in here and some in there, some in there. So typical beam rifle. So you've got that. And then also this can actually move to the side as well. Kira actually did use that quite often where he would hold the handle like that. So that's what you've got for the beam rifle. And then you actually have the armored Schneiders, which are his knives that go on his side skirts. And then we actually get another V-fin. And like I said earlier, I wish that Bandai would just make that a part of the Metal Build where you get an extra one. If I remember correctly, it seemed like one of these were more rubber than the other. But when I looked at this earlier, I could not tell the difference. So it looks like it's just an extra one. But that's what you've got for the V-fin. And then he actually has 5 sets of hands. So of course he's got the closed fists that are on him. And then, so of course here you have the open hands. So you get 2 of those. And then you actually have the beam saber hands. So you get 2 of these. And then you get 2 of the trigger finger hands. So, and then you actually get 2 of the, I think this is so he could grab the other handle of his beam rifle. So you can actually just slide that in there. So I think you can use that, or you can use this for the beam sabers as well. So that's what you've got for the hands. So that's what we've got for his accessories. Not too much there. So now let's get into some articulation. Next, let's take a look at his articulation. All right. So first, let's take a look at his shoulder. So of course, with his shoulder, he can move that all the way up. As you see, that's actually hitting his head there. So he's got a pretty wide range of motion there. He can spin it 360. Now for the actual alternate striker packs, you can actually lift this part up. If I can get my nail in there. You can actually lift this part up here, and then that's where you would connect the sword and launcher packs, and then some of the other striker packs as well. So they'll connect to the shoulder that way. He's also got this lift here, so that will lift up. So that'll give you more range of motion for the upper arm. Now for the arm, as far as the bicep is concerned, he can spin it, but mine is really, really tight. So mine doesn't want to spin 360. So I probably won't chance it, but you can get at least between 45 and 90 degrees off of that. So that's what you got for the bicep. Now for the elbow, you can actually raise this up all the way like that. Really good elbow bend there. Okay. So he's got that. And then for the forearm, he actually cannot spin this at all. So, and I think that has to do with this die cast part in here. So this will not allow, the way that this is made, it will not allow any kind of movement on the forearm. However, for the wrist, he actually does have a little bit of movement here and here, all right, but not a ton. He's got a lot here, but what kind of like the Strays, he does have this, so he can actually take that, and then this part will actually come down, so you can actually raise his wrist off of here. So that's kind of like the Astrays. The Astrays did it a little bit differently, but he does have that range of movement in the wrist. So he's got that. So that's what you've got for the wrist. Then for the head, of course, he can look, he can spin from side to side. Now, like I said, mine is really, really tight. I don't know, because he's got this back lift here on the back of his head. And so I think that's preventing him from spinning 360, but he actually still can get pretty wide right there without any kind of resistance or anything like that. So he can look to the far left and right. So between 45 and 90 degrees again, and then of course up and down. So he can look like that. So he's got that. So he's got pretty wide range of movement for the head. Then for the midsection, he actually has a pretty good ab crunch there. So of course he can look down that way. He can also look up this way. So he's got that. So he's got that. He's also he has some side to side, but not a ton, okay? So he's got a little bit here, a little bit there, but you don't have a ton. As far as moving 360, yet again, mine's really, really tight. But usually what'll happen is he'll end up hitting this back skirt piece here on the back there. So unfortunately, I don't know if he's gonna be able to do that, but he can get between 45 and 90 degrees if you really, really try. So that's what you've got for the midsection. And then for the waist, he actually has his side skirts. So of course the front skirts, they will move slightly to the left and to the right. So that'll give you a little bit more movement there. These can move up, all right? So you can move that up. You can see all the die cast in here, all right? And then for the side skirts, this one actually does not move very much. So when you want to move it up, this will actually unlodge the place where the armored Schneiders go. So unfortunately, you won't get wide range of movement on that at all. It almost wants to stay stationary. So, but you can lift it up slightly, okay, like that. But that's probably about it. You're not going to really get any more movement other than that. And then for the back, these will actually lift up as well. Not the highest that we've seen, but you do have that there. So you can see all the die cast in here and here. And then for his thrusters, these are actually moved down when he actually has like a backpack on, but actually you could actually move that up. And so those do move a little bit there as well. So that's what you have for the thrusters and the back skirts. So that's what you've got for the waist section. Now for the legs, let's actually raise this up here, and let's actually raise, you can actually raise that up pretty high. So he's pretty much touching his front skirt there. So I could actually raise it up higher than that, but he actually would, this actually would pop off or fly off. So he's got at least a 90-degree angle. I would say that's almost a 100-degree angle. So he's got that. And then for the knee bend, he's got a really good knee bend. So of course, you kind of want those two touching. So that's what he's got. I could probably move this out of the way. So there you go. So you've got that there. You got die cast on the knees here, die cast here, die cast here, die cast in there. You got die cast everywhere on this guy. So that's what you've got for the legs and the knee. And then for the feet, what you've got here is, you can move this up, okay? And you can move this down. Even though it doesn't want to move down, it usually wants to move the entire foot down, but you can have that angle down somewhat like that there. So you've got that. Now, also, and I've been talking about this in other Metal Build reviews, the thing that the Strike can do, if you look at his foot, you can actually take this and extend the back heel out. So that will give him a little bit more stability on the back heel. You notice that I usually complain about the feet on the Metal Build. So this actually helps that significantly, and I wish that they would do this with all of them. I thought this did this on this crossbone, but when I was doing the X0, it did not have that. So I don't know if that was maybe just the earlier crossbones, or I'm maybe mistaken, but I know for the Strikes, they have that. So you have that extension part on the back heel there. So you've got that, and then you do have a slight rock in the front, okay? So you can move it a little bit, but it's, like I said, it's relatively stiff. That whole ankle part is die cast in there. So, but you've got that. So that's what you've got for the foot. So as far as articulation, he actually is not too shabby. Now considering this actually is over 6 years old, this design of the Strike, so he's got some pretty decent range of movement even without it. So he's kind of got that there. So that's what he's got for that. That's kind of like the knife pose that he would do with the Armored Schneiders. So that's what you have for articulations. Now, what I'm actually going to do, I'm not going to do all of the backpacks for him, but I will take the L pack out and we'll put that on him and see how he looks with that. So we'll do that next. So I was gonna pull out just the L pack, but I had a spare one, but I don't know where it is. I think either I sold it or I possibly gave it away to somebody. I can't remember. But this is actually the original Strike, the original L Strike that came out back in 2018, I think, roughly around there. And so this is the setup that I normally have for him. So you actually can put all three of his striker packs on. These are the original that were actually in the show. All the other ones after that are, they're usually like MSV versions or alternate versions that we either didn't see in Seed, but we maybe saw them like in some manga or something like that. So I just wanted you guys to take, to get a chance to take a look at it and see if you want me to do a review on every striker pack that's come out, because I think I have every one except for one or two, I think. I can do that. It'll take me quite a while, but I could definitely do a review on that. So if you actually do want me to do the individual striker packs, put that request in the comments, because I do check the comments regularly. So I just wanted to give you a brief look at what the Strike looks like with all of the striker packs on. So this is the perfect Strike. So now we will get into final thoughts. So last thoughts on this guy. You know, it's actually been a while since I've messed with a Strike Gundam. It's been for the Metal Build line. I have about at least 5 or 6 of them, and I haven't really touched them in a couple of years. So it was actually nice to go back and do this review. Now, as far as the actual kit that itself, I would say that this is pretty much, if you're looking to get maybe a gateway into the Metal Build line, I would try this strike. This strike usually goes for about $150, $180. Now, of course, it doesn't come with the L pack or any of the other packs. But, you know, let's say you just want the L pack or you just want the launcher pack and you don't want all the other ones. Well, then you can do that and get it for relatively a decent price. Usually on the, I think the L pack just had a reissue in January, if I'm not mistaken. And then those usually go for anywhere between like 70 to 90 on the P Bandai site. And then usually on the secondary market, they usually go for a little bit more than that. They usually go between like 130, 150. I've even seen them almost as high as 200 depending on the pack. So it really just depends. The versatility that this strike has, the fact that it can use all the different packs, I think is a bonus. I love that. I love the fact that you can use it with almost every pack that's come out in the Alternative Strike line, and they keep putting new packs out. Now it'll be interesting to see what they do when the Metal Build Impulse comes out. I think that maybe that will be the evolution of this strike in the Alternative Strike line, but we'll see. We'll see what happens next. So I think as far as like the articulation and stuff, the articulation is good considering that it's, you know, 6 or almost 7 years old. And you can still pose it the way that you want to pose it. It doesn't really have that many limitations. Now with this one being relatively, I usually don't mess with my metal builds that much. So most of my joints are still very tight, even to the point to where I was a little timid about moving it as far as like the head and trying to do that in 360 and, you know, some parts of the shoulder and things like that. But I think overall, I think that its articulation is pretty solid. I think that its look, I call this the granddaddy of the alternative, of the AU versions of Gundam, not the Universal Century, but all the alternate universe stuff. I think that this pretty much is the granddaddy Gundam, especially in the Seed universe. So, you know, we'll have to look and see what happens going forward with the Gundam Seed line as far as the metal builds are concerned. Are we going to get a Metal Build Duel? Are we going to get a Metal Build Buster or Aegis? I don't know. I have no idea. My guess is probably not. I don't know how well that those would sell. But I think overall, you know, especially now that they're going into the Gundam Seed Destiny part of the line with the new Metal Build Impulse Gundam, you know, we'll probably be leaving the Seed line behind. But I think overall, if you're someone who maybe just wants to dip their feet or dip their toes into the Metal Build line at 150, 180 bucks, even though you don't really get that many accessories, I think that this is probably the one to get. So overall, out of 10, I would probably give this one a 9.5. I think just the versatility alone saves it, and maybe some of the parts that it has difficulty with as far as some parts of the articulation can be rectified. I don't think that those are extremely difficult things to overcome. It can still pose it the way that you want. The detail in it is great. The feet are not a problem on this guy, and that is definitely something that I like. So, so that's what I've got for you today. Thank you guys for watching the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.